to promote radical ideologies in our public schools, up to 5,000 schools, how they're personally profiting from this scheme, and how they're using this scheme to promote the cult of personality for the governor, Gavin Newsom.
So this film, and you're going to describe it here in a second, it has now been seen by 2.6 million students, 11,500 classrooms, 5,000 schools, and in all 50 states.
Yeah,
wow.
Look, Glenn, yours is a family program. This content is deeply disturbing. I'm super uncomfortable talking about the details of it. The best way to describe it is, in two of these films, it is a pipeline to porn in the public schools. And for all the details, I invite the millions of people in your audience to come to openthebooks.com, read our investigation. It's right there on the homepage, and click the links. You have to educate yourself on what your children in the classrooms are seeing, and viewer discretion is advised. Okay. Best way I can simply describe it, when you click the links in the study, is that this is XXX rated content. You're going to see women who are naked or nearly naked being slapped, handcuffed, brutalized, and still photos taken from pornography videos. And Glenn, if that wasn't bad enough, Jennifer Newsom, who produces these films, directs these films, she includes the website addresses to the porn sites where students, when they leave the classroom, it is a roadmap to them for further exploration.
You know, where's anyone that is standing up for women in the first place, being slapped around S&M, handcuffs? This is what we're showing not only to our children, but we're now endorsing it with public figures, and you'll get into this, with public figures giving their endorsement of this kind of behavior. And what does that do to our young men? What does that do to our women? It's evil. That's the only, looking for another word, couldn't find one. It's evil. It's evil.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I say that parents, fathers, mothers, you need to police the content in your local classrooms. As you pointed out at the top here, that this content is in 5,000 schools in all 50 states. 2.6 million of the students have reviewed this in 11,200 classrooms. And although for months we reached out to the Representation Project, this is Jennifer Newsom's nonprofit, and we can't get a response. They will not respond to any of our questions, asking for their side of the story, asking for further context, their response to what we've uncovered in their films. But what they did do just a couple of days ago, the executive director of the nonprofit tweeted out that although they're happy that their films have received greater scrutiny over the course of the last couple of weeks because of our exposure, she pointed out they're proud that they've been seen over 30 million times online and in the classroom. So look, this is a real problem, Glenn. Parents need to get engaged. We need to start policing the content in our classrooms.
You know, how do you do that? Because you stand up, and then you stand up in the school board meetings, you stand up PTA, and you go to the school. And I mean, I've had these conversations. What exactly are you showing? Is any of this stuff being done? And, you know, in a non-Christian school, but even in some Christian schools, I wonder if you're really getting the truth. And they are many times not telling you the full story or the truth, or they define things differently than you do. And so how do you police it in the classroom?
It's a three-step process, Glenn. Number one is you have to ask the teachers for copies of the curriculum as early as kindergarten. So kindergartners with Jennifer Newsom's curricula, they're being taught that gender is fluid, it exists on a spectrum, and that you can mix and match different parts of boys and girls. And so there are as many genders as there are people in the world. I looked up that number. There's 8 billion people in the world. So there's up to 8 billion genders that kindergartners through fifth graders are being taught that, and it's just not true. There's 2. So you have to number one, you have to ask the teachers for the curriculum. Number two, the second step says who with what proof. File an official Freedom of Information Act sunshine request in your state with your school district to get an official copy of the curriculum. If you see that the teachings, are what we're talking about or something similar, you have to bring it to public comment at a board meeting. You have to ask questions and hold the school board accountable. Oftentimes the school board will not answer your questions, so you have to network up to 50 to 500 of your friends and family in the community into those school board meetings. That creates a media event. That shines the white-hot spotlight on what's going on in our schools, and eventually you just got to win school board elections at the end of the day.
Okay, so what is the name of these films? What are we looking for?
So there's 4 films that Jennifer Newsom has produced through her nonprofit called the Representation Project. And in our study, we list out all 4 films. The worst one, which has the most pornography for 15-year-olds plus, is called The Mask You Live In. And that's the one where I describe the sexually explicit curriculum that's appalling and profane. There's also films that are shown to 11-year-olds. And these are not appropriate either. But they say that age-appropriate material includes, for example, an upside-down animated stripper with tape over her breasts.
This is for middle school. What is the, I'm going to get to the money here in a minute, but what is the objective here, honestly? Because nobody actually believes this is healthy for little children to see.
Well, it's interesting you bring up that point. Here's their justification. This number may be inflated, but it's the number they use. They say that 34% of all youth, when they go online, they see unwanted pornography. And so their solution to their solution to this is to feed 100% of the youth captive in the classroom the pornography right there. We think it's appalling, disgusting. No governor of the 50 states should be involved in anything like this. And, that's why it's up to parents to police that content.
Good heavens. Okay, so now talk to me about the money.
Well, Glenn, I'm from Illinois. It is the Super Bowl of corruption, as everybody understands. And in Illinois, we're used to our politicians double-dipping the public trough. Well, what we found here with the Newsoms is they're not double-dipping, they're not triple-dipping, they're quadruple-dipping taxpayer dollars. So, first off, Governor Newsom engaged in the highly unethical practice of soliciting state vendors, up to 1,000 of them, for campaign cash. Those 1,000 state vendors gave his campaign fund $10.6 million. And while he was doing that, we found that his wife, Jennifer Newsom, was soliciting state vendors for donations to her nonprofit, this film and curriculum nonprofit, to cover the operating costs. So state vendors gave 5- and 6-figure donations to the nonprofit. Okay, so Jennifer Newsom has received in salary from the nonprofit over the last decade $1.5 million. The nonprofit, which produces the films and curricula for schools at up to 5,000 schools, has received on license fees of licensing the films and curricula up to $1.5 million on license fees. That's taxpayer dollars. She gets a second bite at those taxpayer dollars with her for-profit company called Girls Entertainment. Girls Club Entertainment. And Girls Club Entertainment contracts with her nonprofit. The nonprofit has paid her for-profit $1.6 million. So do the math.
Can I say something? As somebody who runs a nonprofit, the red line with me is I can pay the nonprofit anything, but there is never a dime that should ever come back this direction for anything. If I want them, if I want to lend my studio space, I can't charge them. I can, but I never charge them rent because I don't ever want the appearance of anything like that. For her to charge her own nonprofit and make money off of those taxpayer dollars is grotesque.
Amen. They've blurred all the lines between for-profit, non-for-profit, salary, license fees. And here's the fourth way they quadruple dip the taxpayer dollar. two of the films star her husband, the governor, Gavin Newsom, and promote his cult of personality, his political future. He's held out as the model public servant and the hero.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There was something that, he's portrayed as hero. Paired curricula with the films prompt kids to discuss Newsom's comments and have urged them to vote, gather friends to vote for similar politicians who support, quote, a care economy.
Yeah, so look, somebody on the last election cycle, this is, openthebooks.com, we follow the money. We're nonpartisan. We light up Republicans, like in the latest omnibus spending bill. Republicans were some of the biggest earmarkers. We had a field day with them, showcasing them for participating and earmarking the currency of corruption in Congress. But look, when you follow the money right here on the Newsoms in California, that's where we get this investigation. And somebody should have filed an election campaign violation. You got a nonprofit charitable educational organization set up as under IRS Section 501c3, and they are drawing the line between cultivating activists out of the classroom and urging people to vote for politicians that espouse the same principles as Governor Gavin Newsom, who appears in the curriculum and the film.
Unbelievable. Adam, thank you for everything you guys do, and I know you do take on all sides, and I thank you for that. I am so sick of one side calling the other, the kettle and black, and it's just, we're not getting anywhere. The evil is everywhere, and we have to take and pay attention to our kids first. Thank you. By the way, please go to openthebooks.com, and read this story and then track it down. It's in all 50 states, 11,500 schools. So make sure it's nothing like this is happening in your school. Back in just a minute.